Step away from the register.
I'm sorry?
Step away. We need to verify your work authorization.
I manage this store. I've managed it for 7 years.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, I was born in Atlanta. I grew up in Georgia. Why are you asking me this in front of my customers?
You'll need to come with us, now.
6 cameras recorded everything that happened next. Every angle, every word, crystal clear audio. 38 seconds after that exchange, a federal agent grabbed the arm of a woman who had just been promoted to regional supervisor. Her promotion letter was signed 6 days earlier. It was still in the drawer 10 feet away. That footage would cost the United States government $7.8 million. Before I tell you what happened next, where are you watching from right now? Drop your state in the comments. These stories need to be heard by people who understand what's at stake. And if this is your first time here, subscribe, because the truth doesn't always make the evening news, but it always ends up on camera. Her name was Deja Harmon, 31 years old, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. She wasn't visiting that Circle K on the corner of Birchwood and 5th. She ran it, had been running it for 7 years since she was 24, working her first closing shift alone on a Tuesday night because her manager called in sick, and she didn't complain once. 8 employees reported to her. She set the schedules, handled inventory disputes, processed every single I-9 form for every person who'd ever clocked in at that location. She was, in the most literal sense possible, the person responsible for verifying that everyone in that store had legal authorization to work. 6 days before that Tuesday afternoon, her district manager signed her promotion letter. Regional supervisor, effective the first of the month. The letter was in the top drawer of the office, the same office she'd unlocked every morning for 7 years. That Tuesday was a normal shift. 2:15 p.m., the after-school rush was just starting. Deja was at the front counter, walking a new hire through the weekend protocol, explaining exactly what to do when the delivery came in late. 2 ICE agents in tactical vests walked through the front door. They passed the new hire, past the cashier on register 2, past the stock clerk restocking the cooler, past 7 other employees without stopping. They stopped in front of Deja. 11 people working that shift. One was approached. That question, why her, would eventually be answered in federal court. Under oath, in front of a jury. The answer would cost someone everything. The after-school crowd had no idea what they were walking into. 4 students from Jefferson Middle School came through the door at 2:23 p.m., same as every Tuesday. Same order almost every time. 2 bags of chips, a Gatorade, whatever was on the roller grill. They knew Deja by name. She'd held the door for one of them during a rainstorm back in October. Small things, the kind you remember. One of them said it first. Quiet, confused Miss Deja. Their teacher, Angela Morris, was 3 steps behind them. She looked at the agents, looked at Deja, pulled out her phone. She didn't say anything yet. She just started recording. She's been here every single day for years, Angela said, her voice steady. What exactly are you doing? Agent Kowalski didn't answer. He didn't look at her. The camera did. Underscore, 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 underscore. Inside the back office, shift supervisor Kevin Reyes was already on the phone. His hands were shaking, but his voice wasn't. He reached district manager Marcus Webb on the second ring. Webb arrived in 8 minutes. That's worth saying, again, 8 minutes. He didn't drive slowly. He walked through the front door carrying a manila folder, moved directly to the register area and placed the folder on the counter between Kowalski and Deja. Her I-9, her employment contract, her promotion letter signed last Wednesday by corporate. Webb's voice was flat and precise. This woman is a United States citizen. She is a corporate employee scheduled for regional promotion. I have documentation right here, in my hand. What else do you need? Kowalski looked at the folder. He did not open it. Sir, we're conducting a lawful work site enforcement operation. You're conducting it on the wrong person. That's when Kowalski used the word that stopped the room. Obstruction. He said it calmly, clinically. If Webb continued interfering with a federal enforcement action, he could face charges of obstructing federal officers. Webb went quiet for exactly 2 seconds. Then, obstruction. He repeated it the same way a person repeats something they cannot believe they just heard. She processes I-9 forms for every employee in this building. She is the verification person. You are asking the verification person to verify herself, and when I hand you the verification, you won't open it. Kowalski said nothing. The folder stayed closed. 12 feet away, Angela Morris was still recording. She had been standing in line to buy a bottle of water. That's all. Patricia Owens, employment law attorney, 14 years in practice, had stopped at this Circle K twice a week for the past 3 years. She knew the coffee was bad. She came anyway. She stepped out of line. "Excuse me," her voice carried. "What is your probable cause for detaining this individual?" Worksite enforcement requires documented, credible, specific information before any individual can be approached. What specific information do you have on this woman? Kowalski turned. "Ma'am, this is a federal investigation." "I know what it is. I'm asking what you have, not generally on her, specifically." Silence. Patricia reached into her bag. She placed a business card on the counter next to Webb's unopened folder. "Don't answer anything else without representation present," she said to Deja. "You have that right. Have you ever watched someone's rights disappear in real time, and the people with the power to stop it just kept going anyway? Keep watching, because those 6 cameras were recording every second, and they never blinked once." Deja heard what Patricia said. Every word. She looked at the students. 4 kids from Jefferson Middle, standing frozen near the roller grill, chips in hand, watching the woman they said hi to every Tuesday get surrounded by federal agents. She looked down at her uniform, the Circle K polo she'd buttoned that morning at 1:45 p.m. before her shift. Then she looked at Kowalski. "I'll go." 2 words. Quiet. Final. Patricia started. "You have the right to—" "I know." Deja's voice didn't break. "I'll go. I'll prove everything, and I'll come back." She paused. One breath. "My daughter gets out of school at 3:30. Please don't handcuff me in front of these kids." That was the only thing she asked for. Not her rights, not her folder, not an explanation. Just not in front of the kids. Kowalski nodded. No cuffs. It was the smallest mercy, and it cost him nothing. But the system had already taken everything else. She walked out flanked by both agents, still in her uniform, the same polo she'd worn to 100 Tuesday shifts, 1,000 small transactions, 7 years of early mornings, and late inventory counts, and training new hires who didn't stay, and training new hires who did. Angela Morris was still recording from the doorway. Webb followed them to the parking lot, phone pressed to his ear, the corporate legal already on the line. He was talking fast. The agents put Deja in the back of an unmarked sedan. The students watched from the window. Not one of them moved. The car pulled out of the lot at 2:41 p.m. At Jefferson Elementary across town, the 3:30 bell rang. Deja's daughter, 6 years old, first grade, name is Amani, came out the front door and looked for her mother's car. It wasn't there. She waited by the front steps the way she'd been taught. 5 minutes, 10, 20. At 4:15 p.m., her teacher called the emergency contact number on file. Deja's mother answered. She didn't know where her daughter was. She didn't know what had happened. She knew only that Amani was standing in front of a school waiting for someone who wasn't coming. She got in her car and drove. There is no easy way to say what that means, a 6-year-old standing outside a school, looking for a face that isn't there because her mother was sitting in the back of a federal vehicle trying to explain that she was born in Atlanta. No courtroom argument captures it. No legal brief gets close. But the timestamp on Angela Morris's video does. 2:41 p.m., car leaving the lot, 3:30 p.m., bell rings, 4:15 p.m. Nobody there. The math is simple. The weight of it is not. Angela Morris posted the video at 6:47 p.m. By 10:00 p.m., it had been viewed 340,000 times. She hadn't edited it. No caption, no filter. Just 23 minutes of a Circle K on the corner of Birchwood and 5th 6 camera angles, HD audio, every word clear enough to quote in court. She uploaded it from her phone, sitting in her car in the school parking lot after dismissal, after she'd made sure all her students got home safe, after she'd driven past the store one more time and seen the lights still on and Deja's car still in the lot. Corporate Circle K released the full surveillance footage that same evening. All 6 angles, all 23 minutes. Their legal team had one instruction: release everything, because everything proved one thing. Their employee had done nothing wrong. Patricia Owens worked until 2:00 a.m. The emergency writ of habeas corpus she filed was 41 pages. Attached, Deja's I-9, her 7-year employment record, her promotion letter, corporate verification of citizenship submitted to the detention facility within 3 hours of her arrival, the full surveillance footage on a flash drive, and a single paragraph at the end that asked one question, not as rhetoric but as law: on what legal basis is a verified United States citizen being held in federal detention? Judge Raymond Cole received the filing at 11:14 p.m. He read it at his desk, all 41 pages. He scheduled the emergency hearing for 9:00 a.m. the following morning. The government attorney was not prepared for Judge Cole. "Let me make sure I have this right," Cole said, not looking up from the filing. The employer submitted employment documentation within 3 hours of detention. Corporate legal confirmed her citizenship status that same evening. The surveillance footage which I have reviewed shows agents bypassing 11 other employees to approach this individual specifically. He looked up. Her citizenship is verified. Her employment is documented. She has no criminal record. She has been in custody for 38 hours. A pause. On what grounds is she still being held? The government attorney started. Your Honor, standard verification protocol requires... I've read the protocol. I'm asking about this case. This woman, these 38 hours. Cole set down the filing. What grounds? The attorney had no answer. Cole ordered Deja's immediate release, not pending review, not within 24 hours, immediate with transportation back to Atlanta provided at government expense. Deja walked out of the detention facility at 1:17 p.m., still wearing her Circle K uniform. Her mother was waiting. The lawsuit came 2 months later. Patricia filed it on a Tuesday, same day of the week as the detention. Intentional. Discovery is where cases are won, and discovery in this case was brutal. Kowalski's own emails told the story he wouldn't tell on the stand. 8 months before the detention, he'd written to a colleague, "Badge moves faster than paperwork. Don't wait for docs." 5 words, sent from his government email account, stored on government servers, produced in discovery and read aloud in open court. Kowalski sat at the defense table and said nothing. Patricia's cross-examination was not long. It didn't need to be. Agent Kowalski, on the afternoon of the detention, how many employees were working at that location? 12. How many were women? A pause. 9. How many did you approach? 1. Why, miss? Harmon specifically? Silence. A long one. Agent Kowalski, you had 12 employees, 9 women, and you chose 1. I'll ask again, why her? He looked at the table. She matched a general description we were looking for. What description? More silence. Was she the only person in that store who matched that description? He didn't answer. Patricia let the silence sit for 5 full seconds. Then she turned and walked back to her table. Kowalski had walked past 11 people and stopped in front of one. An agent carrying 3 prior complaints in his file and an email that said badge beats paperwork. Does that sound like a mistake to you? Or a pattern? I want to know what you think. Put it in the comments, because the jury had a very clear answer. The jury deliberated for 9 hours, over 2 days. When they came back, the 4-person read each finding slowly. No rush, liable. Unlawful seizure and detention without probable cause, liable. Racial discrimination in enforcement, liable. Deprivation of liberty without due process, liable. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. 4 findings, 4 times that word. Compensatory damages $2.1 million. For the detention, for the lost wages. For the therapy, Deja began 6 weeks after her release when she realized she couldn't walk into a Circle K, any Circle K, without her chest tightening. For Imani, standing outside Jefferson Elementary at 4:15 p.m., waiting for a car that didn't come. Punitive damages, $5.7 million. To send a message to every agent who ever thought badge moves faster than paperwork. Total $7.8 million. The hook from the first minute of this video just closed. The jury took 9 hours to say what the cameras said in 38 seconds. Kowalski was terminated. His supervisor was demoted. The regional ICE director faced an internal review that resulted in reassignment. The Department of Homeland Security implemented new enforcement protocols, documented probable cause required, before any individual detention at a worksite mandatory citizenship verification within 12 hours for anyone claiming U.S. citizenship supervisor sign-off required for any hold exceeding 6 hours. The 3 prior complaints filed against Kowalski, all involving improper detention, all quietly closed, were reopened. This was not his first time. The files said so. The emails said so. The silence on the stand said so. 5 months after the verdict, Deja Harmon reported to work for the first time as regional supervisor, not at the Birchwood location. Her new office covered 14 stores across 2 counties, her own desk, her own parking spot. On that first morning, Angela Morris came by with 4 students from Jefferson Middle, the same 4 who'd been buying chips when the agents walked in. They were taller now, almost didn't recognize the store without the tactical vests in the doorway. Angela handed Deja a framed photograph, a still pulled from the surveillance footage. Deja, standing behind the counter, back straight face, calmed both agents on either side of her. The timestamp read 2:19 p.m., 1 minute and 40 seconds into the confrontation, before anyone had said the word obstruction, before the folder was placed on the counter, before Patricia stepped out of line. 1 minute, 40 seconds in, and Deja hadn't moved an inch. "You didn't flinch," Angela said. "Not once." Deja looked at the photograph for a long moment. Then she set it on her desk, facing out. 3 months later, Deja spoke at a workers' rights forum in Atlanta, standing at a podium in her own city for the first time, saying the full story out loud to a room of advocates, attorneys, and policymakers. She ended with this: "My case got headlines because I had documentation, a lawyer who happened to be standing in line, and 6 cameras covering every angle. Most people don't have all 3. Some don't have any. My case got a verdict because the evidence was impossible to ignore. But everyday people who look like me, who work like me, who were born here like me, get approached, questioned, detained. And when the cameras aren't there, when the lawyer isn't in line, when the folder isn't in the drawer, what happens then?" She paused. "That's the real problem. Not just what happened to me. What happens when nobody's recording?" Deja got her title back. She got her name in the headlines. She got $7.8 million and a framed photograph on a regional supervisor's desk. But that question she left hanging in that room in Atlanta, I can't stop thinking about it. What happens when nobody's recording? If you believe these stories need to be told, share this one right now with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already, because there are more cases like this and they deserve the same attention. And drop one word in the comments, just one. The first word that comes to mind after watching this. I read every single one.